The Addiction Podcast, Point of No Return, sponsored by Narconon Ojai.
Hello, and welcome to the Addiction Podcast, Point of No Return. My name is Joni Siegel. I'm the host for this podcast, and today's episode is episode number 214. When a person is addicted to drugs and or alcohol, the myriad of choices of treatment can be overwhelming. Narconon Ojai is a residential treatment facility that addresses the spiritual, mental, and physical aspects of addiction with a holistic, drug-free, evidence-based, step-by-step program designed to free those trapped by addiction. For more information, call 866-231-5924. It's an anonymous call. Call today. Today we're going to be interviewing a gentleman named Eric Protein Moseley. Now I have to tell you that I don't know why Protein is his middle name, but I'm sure we'll get him to tell us that. He is a social impact documentary filmmaker, homeless advocate, director, author, and businessman who grew up in Detroit, Michigan, dropped out of school, became addicted to drugs and other things, and used his shortcoming to become a motivation for those who don't have the inspiration to continue on with their dream no matter what the circumstances. He has been recognized as becoming the first to educate the homeless about the coronavirus and turned it into a popular documentary called The Homeless Coronavirus Outreach. His company is called Skid Row Productions, and let's find out more, especially why he's called Eric Protein Moseley. So, Eric Protein Moseley, thank you for being on the podcast today and been willing to share your story.
Thanks for having me, Joni. I've been looking forward to this, and today is the day.
Awesome. I really appreciate it very much. You know, it's interesting, Eric. You may be familiar with this. I understand that someone's time period of addiction is not necessarily a time of their lives that they want to remember. And so oftentimes we've encountered a few people who, while they have their former addiction, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to tell their story. And I get it. I do understand, but it makes me appreciate people such as yourself even more who are willing to share the down and dirty in order to give people hope about the not so down and the not dirty.
Right.
So well, I appreciate you doing that.
Okay,
go ahead.
And the reason why I do it is because it's not really about the addiction, but it's really more so about the recovery that I went through. Like, a lot of people don't want to talk about bad things because in society, we are taught to paint these faces on that everything is good in our lives and things of that nature. But then when we take those masks off, everybody has some hidden agenda what's going on. So if you go around and telling people, hey, I used to be a drug addict or I was this and that, people will think that, you were just the less in society. That's why they call it Alcoholics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous, because you're not supposed to let anybody know. But how are the suffering addicts supposed to find out if you keep that hid? Your recovery. So if you can't talk about your addiction, then how can someone find out about the recovery process that you took to get to where you're at today?
I think that's huge. I think you make a very, very good point. So Eric, let me take you back. How did you get started on drugs? Where were you? How old were you? Tell us your history there.
Wow. So I was living in Detroit, Michigan. I was actually living with my grandmother at the time. And this was a period of time when Richard Pryor had caught on fire. His face had blew up on fire from smoking crack cocaine. And human beings have a way of things that are tragic. They want to run to it. I don't know how that happened, but everyone who was like snorting cocaine and things of that nature, they wanted to find out how Richard Pryor blew up. And they wanted to do that, not the blow up part, but they wanted to find out what he was experimenting. So then people start buying the powder cocaine and then they start cooking it. So me starting off with marijuana and, hanging out with the wrong people. When somebody introduced me to rock cocaine, I tried it. And so that's basically how it started. But I might add, I didn't get hooked on it right away. It took a period of time for someone else to bring more and more and more before I got addicted to it. But I was using like powder before and then marijuana before. And I just graduated up into that.
But you started with marijuana. Was that the first drug experience?
Yes, I did start with marijuana. And I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of people think that marijuana is a gateway to using serious drugs. Let me tell you what's the gateway to using serious drugs. It's about you growing up and being bored of your prior life, or there's something that happened into your life that you want to bring excitement into that boredom. It's just like if you go to an amusement park and you're riding a little Ferris wheel while you're little, that's okay. But as you get bigger and bigger and larger, that little thing becomes non-existent and you want more and more and more. So what I want to do, my biggest thing of recovery is I want to take people back to where they were like before they started doing drugs. I want to take them back to that boring life that they used to complain about all the time, and put them back in that mind frame and let them dig their way from that part out.
Well, absolutely, because one of the things we've said on the podcast over and over again is that drugs are not the actual problem. They are the solution to a problem. So before the drugs ever started, there was something there, whether it was being bullied, or, being bored, or, just no self-esteem. There's something that happened before someone goes, oh, I think I'll get high. So you make a good point. Yeah.
It's something to mask something, but it still really all deals with excitement, because being bullied and stuff like that, that's boring. That's not anything that you want. Like, you want to add some spice to that. I want the kid that's being bullied, he or she wants to add spice to their life where they fit in with the in crowd. So they're still looking in some sort to come from where they were at the bottom. So the drug is still even if it's a downer drug, the people are taking the drugs to get a lift up from the down position that they're in.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. So you went to rock cocaine. Is that the right way to say it? Rock cocaine?
Yeah, you can say rock cocaine, crack cocaine.
Okay.
Most people know it as crack.
Okay. And then how did you progress from there? How did your life go from there? And how old were you when you were doing crack cocaine?
Oh, let me see. I had to be, I started in 82. So I was 22. 24 when I first started, but not being addicted. So when I was addicted, I was 24 years of age. Now, might I'm at it wasn't an embarrassing thing, because everyone in the community at that time was doing crack cocaine. So it was like a cigarette thing. Hey, I'm going to go get me a dime rock or a nickel rock or whatever. It was just like going to the store and getting a pack of cigarettes. No kids could laugh at somebody else's parent because you're that crackhead, my mom's crackhead. And so it was just like a community event for everybody. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. It's kind of accepted. That was the way of life.
Exactly. Yeah, it became like a way of life. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag. But so everybody was doing it. Take us back. How did you progress from there?
Okay, I progressed by thinking this is just only going to last for a minute. And first, let me tell you, in the beginning, it's fun because, you're experimenting with something and you're getting a high that you like. But as you just keep progressing and you seeing that you're not taking care of your hygiene, your family is about to find out. A girlfriend that you used to date way back in the day, she's telling you wow, you have lost all your weight. And then it becomes a thing that you don't even realize it anymore. So now you're really just out of. So the addiction goes in stages, to the point where first you're embarrassed, then the next thing you're not embarrassed, and then it just goes from, hey, look, just forget it. I'm just a crackhead. I'm out here, and maybe it might happen for me to get off, and maybe it might not. But I always had that dream and that feeling by me being a God-loving person. I always knew that, what? This is temporary. I used to always say it. Every time I would take a hit, I would get down on my knees and pray to God and say, God, this is not what I want. Please, Lord, please deliver me off of this. And I got off in the book of Proverbs, and that's what kind of just led me to getting into wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and finding out about the drugs, about my addictions and everything.
Wow. So the Bible basically helped you get clean and sober. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that was the first part of me acknowledging that I had an addiction, because denial was the biggest thing. If you don't admit that you have a problem, you can't deal with it. So I had to come out of the night.
Right. Okay. So where were you at in your life when you finally realized that you had to get clean and sober? What was your situation like at the time?
Well, I was a single parent father who, the mother of the child and I were doing drugs like all across the country. So I ended up becoming a single parent, and I still took my daughter through that same process of traveling her all around the country and getting high. And excuse me. So where I was at, I smoked dope in every city all across America, every major city there was. But there was one incident when I was in Seattle where I overdosed in front of my daughter, and I was in the tub. I felt my heart about to beat out of my chest. Okay. And what had happened was I was calling myself clean, but I had a relapse during 9/11. I saw these little big people jumping off this building in New York. And I was like saying, wow, if they can die like that, what would be wrong with me just going to take a little hit, because I was setting myself up. So when I took that hit, I was just like off and running because I had been clean for a little while. And so it had my heart beating, and my daughter was laying on another bed, and I felt myself dying. So I ran into the bathroom, took off all my clothes, and got down on my hands and knees. And luckily, I left the door unlocked because I went in there and ran cold water on my whole body so that it could bring my temperature down. And my daughter ran in the bathroom and said, "Daddy, no, what are you doing?" Because she said she heard something go like, "Rah!" She heard some type of sound that she had never heard. So that was me. Like, I don't know if it was demonic spirit or whatever, or God, but I'm laying there, sitting there in the shower, daughter sitting there seeing me. And I was more embarrassed of my daughter seeing me undressed than I was of me overdosing, because I was like froze. God had me froze. Like, listen, you don't want to listen? I'm going to take your life out here. What are you doing? I'm begging, like, God, please, please, please. And
how old was she, Eric? How old was your daughter at the time?
She had to be like about 9 years old. Oh. She had to be about 9 or 10 years old and saw that. Yes, she did. And she remembered, we talk about it and all of that. And I just think about, well, what would happen to her if that would happen? I mean, she didn't have any, telephone numbers of any of my family members or things like that. So she would have just been like in a foster home somewhere, and her dad's dead somewhere off of crack cocaine. And that would have been even worse. So, when we're addicts, we hurt other people more than we hurt ourselves, because we're the ones that getting the joy out of it. So we think they're not getting any joy out of the families or whatever. And so, yeah, we hurt a lot of people doing drugs.
Yeah, we've heard that a lot from people who've come on the show who, are in recovery. Okay, so you're in the shower and your 9-year-old daughter is in there wondering what's going on with Dad. What happened next?
Well, I'm begging for God to give me my life back. And he was like, listen, I am not playing with you. I'm telling you, I could hear it. He said, I am not. And I'm like, God, please, I'm not playing either. Finally, I could just feel like the life coming back into my body. And so then I turned the water out, and I could just rush out because I was naked in front of my daughter, you know what I'm saying? And that was like embarrassing. And so I came down and I dried myself off, and I was really, really, really scared. This was the first time that God had got my attention. But I wasn't, and the thing of it was that my system had got kind of like pure because I hadn't been using, and I had this relapse. But let me add you to this. Relapse is a part of recovery. So people that relapse, I just would like to say to them, don't beat yourself up. Don't go getting off into a pity party. Stay strong and get back up and go through it again, because even the strongest people relapse. Relapse is a part of recovery. Now, that's not giving you a green pass and go, I'm going to go out and get high because the man said it's part of recovery. No. But if you do relapse, just come back stronger. And that's what I did.
You are listening to the Addiction Podcast, Point of No Return. For more information on the podcast, or to reach out if you have a story you would like to share with us, go to our Facebook page by the same name, or you can email us at theaddictionpodcast@yahoo.com, or go to our website, theaddictionpodcast.com, or call us at 727-314-7080. And please remember to subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and give us a 5-star review. For more information on our sponsor, Narconon Ojai, visit their website at narcononohai.org. That's NARCONONOJAI.org. Or call 1-866-231-5924. That's 1-866-231-5924. Sometimes, the hardest thing about getting someone into recovery is getting them to agree to treatment. Bobby Newman, a certified drug counselor with 30 years experience and an over 85% success rate as an interventionist, has created a series of 12 videos that you can use right now to learn every step to get your loved one to agree to treatment. Call 1-833-918-0008 today and say the word podcast to get a 10% discount. Or go to newmaninterventions.com and type in the word podcast for a 10% discount. The service comes with a free 1-hour consultation with Bobby. So what was the date? Like, how long have you been clean and sober?
Oh, wow. So like everybody has different recovery. And so I've gotten to the point I don't count days anymore. As long as I go from 12 to night to 12 at night. And so because maybe other people we can, like if I go to meetings, I won't take chips and all that stuff because I'm the type of person, I'm an addict. Once I start patting myself on the back, then I find I got cushion. Oh, they told me I did good here. So that's how I always relapse. So I tell people, look, if you're gonna compliment me for not getting high that day, compliment me because I brushed my teeth, compliment me because I ate today, compliment me because I woke up. No, I don't deserve a compliment for that. So so I don't take any type of compliments, and I only go from 12 to 12. And then when that 12 o'clock comes, I don't celebrate that I made that day because that battle starts all the way over again. The devil's already right there waiting at you at 11:59.
Right. No. Well, I'm going to say well done anyway. There you go. But so how did you get into filmmaking? What's that story? Because I know that's what you've been doing.
I'm a social impact documentary filmmaker, and by traveling all across the country and being a drug addict all across the country, it put me in a position where I got to meet and be in areas of all lower class people. So that kind of, once I got clean, I felt like, I got clean and I got myself out. So I was like thinking about, wow, how can I go about making money now? And so I was going to make a reality TV show about homelessness. And so I went to Los Angeles and I had somebody keep my daughter at the time. And I came up with this 2 hours worth of footage thinking that I'm going to have a pilot for a television show. And so they came and told me, say, listen, that a pilot is not 2 hours. It's only 8 minutes. So they said, that's a documentary. And I was still kind of like homeless. My daughter met back up in New York and we went into the show there. And there was a young gentleman there that was trying to get me to get off into the social impact. I'm like, man, I'm about to make my money off of this, turn it into a reality show. But what had happened was it was a young lady who the city wouldn't let the police, the ambulance department come in to check on her by her being pregnant. And because of the conditions of the building. So that's when I got back with the young guy and said, you know what, we have to do this. And we called the city officials. We got in the newspaper and they tore that whole building down, built a whole brand new building. And from there, I seen that I had an impact. And so I turned that into a documentary. And then I just started doing it for a social cause instead of trying to make money off of it.
It's interesting. Obviously we all want to make money. But if you go more after duty or after purpose, or, you have some kind of a goal to help people, it's amazing how things can sort of fall in place when you kind of put your attention on that. You make a very good point.
Thank you.
So
well,
what's...
Sorry.
The lag makes me cut you off sometimes. So what's the name of the documentary that you made then?
Well, I made like 3 documentaries, but the last documentary is called The Homeless Coronavirus Outreach. And it's a father and daughter educate the homeless about the coronavirus. And to their understanding, 5 out of 10 people weren't aware of COVID-19. So that was alarming to like the city, the state, the government. Then they started making changes and they started putting people up in San Francisco in hotels, and that triggered off to Los Angeles, to New York. And I don't know if it's working, but we made a big impact in the documentary area, like in Africa, and a lot of in Germany and a couple of other like Hawaii, 2 items on Hawaii, and just all across America and stuff like that. So my daughter, she's a social impact person as well. She's got billboards all over San Francisco. She speaks to tech companies up in the Bay Area and stuff. So we took our mess and turned it into a message.
What does she talk to companies about? What's her message?
Actually, her message is, it's really about her story. And then she's trying to get people to, invest more into nonprofit organizations. And what we do is basically, she's kind of like my instruction. One thing is, my thing is, I teach people about the 3 classes of homelessness, which is upper, middle, and lower. And so I'm teaching her how to do the same thing, because people, when you say something about a homeless individual, they think of a bump. Now,
right.
Upper class homeless is an individual, he or she takes care of their hygiene, trying to make it back into the mainstream of society, probably living in a shelter or couch surfing. The lower class of homeless is an individual who you see out on the street pushing a buggy, not taking care of hygiene, and not trying to make it into the mainstream of society. And the middle class is just that middle person. So to answer you, I'm teaching her that, and she's moving forward with that, is trying to get tech companies to understand that there's 3 different classes, and to also help them to team up with the nonprofit organization that I got, which is Each One Teach One Infrastructure.
Right. It's interesting. I never thought of there being classes of homelessness, but I get what you're saying. And there is, where we are in the Tampa Bay area, there's an organization that is dealing mainly with what you call the upper class of homelessness, in terms of, and I think, a lot of it is people who want to get out of that situation, because I know sometimes the guy pushing the grocery cart doesn't really want to do anything other than push the grocery cart. Do you know what I mean? So I get it now. I never thought of it as classes of homelessness, but I get it. Well, you were homeless for a while, right? You and your daughter?
Oh, my daughter, I during my drug addiction, we were homeless approximately I was homeless probably like 16 years with her, and then probably another 6, 7 years without her, because that's when I really got off and just do that. That was by choice, because I had got so involved with documentaries that it took for me to be in different areas and different homeless shelters and different homeless communities. So I just stayed homeless during that time until it was meant for me to receive housing.
Wow. Well done on shining a light on a lot of these situations, like the homeless not knowing about Corona, and also just the homeless problem and what that entails. And, I agree with you that a lot of people think it's similar with addiction, where people think, oh, the addict is the dirty homeless bum under the bridge. And what we've talked about on the podcast is, it can be the very wealthy teenager who is raiding medicine cabinets. So there's different classes there. Addiction knows no economic status. Yeah. So what is next for you in terms of documentaries? Do you have one kind of that you're working on now?
Actually, I do. I'm working on one called In Correspondence with Eric Protein Moseley. And it's to be in correspondence with the President of the United States, and to bring social issues to individuals who are in power, and let them decide on, what needs to be made change. And it's for other individuals to watch it, but it's to bring in-depth coverage of social issues that are taking place to the community, and by bringing you compelling stories that you would normally see on your broadcasting. So can I talk about this?
You can, but first, before you do that, you have to explain why protein.
Protein. Oh my God! Everybody asks me that. What the word protein? Protein is just something that's positive. It's not nothing negative, and okay. It's I don't remember who gave me that name. I don't remember if it was a woman but I just remember somebody said protein, and then first I was going to put Protein Eric Moseley, and then somebody said no, it's got to go Eric Protein Moseley, and it just stuck. And then I started getting newspaper articles and doing shows like this, and my name just got out of there. But protein is a good thing, Joe.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm sorry I cut you off. Yes, by all means, tell us what you're excited about. That looked good.
It wasn't exciting. It was like doing the documentaries. It was like we went downtown on Skid Row, and the homeless down there, it's like a regular community. And this one, you have addicts, and you have drug dealers, and you have shot callers. So it was a shot caller that came up to us and said, hey, what are you doing down here filming? And I had to tell him, look, I have 30 years down here bro, I've been a drug addict. Woo, woo, woo. And he was like, well, man, that was then. And this is now. And I said, well, man, I'm just about to film my intro and I'm going to be gone. So to make a long story short, the work that I'm doing, it's life-threatening. Not only am I taking a chance to go out and possibly catch coronavirus, but I have to be dealing with different types of people who don't want me in their area. That's like if I come on the side of your house and film, and you're going to be like, hey, dude, what are you doing over here?
Right. But I think that, in the same way that when you talk about, drug addiction, people can relate to it because you have your own history. Similar to making the documentary, you're not coming in as somebody like me, Miss White Bread filmmaker, to know anything about drugs or homeless. You've been there, you've done that, So I can see how that's helpful.
Yeah, and that's how they give me. That's how I get a pass, because I'm coming here telling them, hey, look, I'm one of you. I'm trying to shine light on a subject that's here, and I'm not coming down here. One thing I tell people that I take down there with me, I tell them, your degrees, please leave that at home. Don't tell anybody you have a degree. And I hate to tell them this, but the dumber you play like you are, the better you have a chance of leaving from down there. Because once I'm a master's in this and doctor's in it, no, that doesn't cut it down there. They don't care about that, and you come too much intimidated, and then it's a no-no.
Yeah. Interesting. Eric, if you had one message that you could share with our listeners about the whole addiction pandemic, what would it be?
About the addiction pandemic?
Addiction in general. What message would you give people?
Pandemic. I'm the type of person who I would bring you, if I was to coach you or to lead you out of your drug addiction, I would take you back to that Ferris wheel that you were riding on when you were 2 years old and put your mind frame in that. And plus, I wouldn't come to you with that little Johnny push, like, little Johnny, sit down and do this. I would look you straight in your eyes and say, if you don't quit getting high, you're going to die. I don't cut corners with people. I don't sugarcoat it, because I need somebody to talk to me. If you keep getting high, you're going to die. And it's just going to be just that simple. And you're going to kill the hearts and the spirits of everyone that love you. I can't give you a little Johnny approach to say, oh, little Johnny, you shouldn't do this. No, little Johnny, you're going to die if you keep getting high. It's just that simple.
Well, you're going to die. And I like the second thing you said, and you're going to break the hearts of everyone around you. I think that is such a powerful message. Eric, thank you so much for being willing to talk to us today. If someone wants to know more about your production company and what you're doing, maybe somebody might want to help you, how can they find you? Do you have a website?
I do have a website, and actually you can find it at Eric Moseley 18 at Eric Moseley 18, or you can just Google my name, Eric Protein Moseley, and everything on there. I'll show you my website. It'll show you everything about my drug addiction and about my success and everything else. That's where you can find it.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you for listening today. A different perspective, one about the homeless situation and the relationship there to drugs. I hope that Eric's story instills you with some kind of hope and lets you know that help is available. His message may sound dramatic and it may sound a little serious, but it's really true. If an individual doesn't stop getting high, they will die, and they will break the hearts of everyone around them. So if you know someone who's addicted, get them into treatment. If you yourself are if you yourself are addicted, get into treatment. Do it today. If you don't know where else to go or who to talk to, you can call our sponsor, Narconon Ojai, 866-231-5924. It's an anonymous call. You don't have to give your name. They just want to help. We'll talk to you again next week.
You have been listening to the Addiction Podcast, Point of No Return, sponsored by Narconon Ojai. For more information on Narconon Ojai, call 866-231-5924 or visit www.narcononojai.org. Narconon is a non-12-step rehabilitation program based on the works of L. Ron Hubbard.